Hi, welcome to another video on my channel, and if you're new to the channel, please feel free to subscribe and also ask any questions that you want to ask. Whichever topic you don't understand, you can just leave them in the comment section and I'll do videos on those topics, right? So I also create videos that you are interested in, not only the ones that I want to create. So, and if you are a returning viewer, what I want you to do is to keep on supporting the channel by commenting on the videos, asking questions. If you don't understand anything that I'm doing, you can also write it in the comment section so I can give some further explanations as to what you're asking. Right, so also please remember to share the channel as well. So for this video in particular, we'll be looking at algebraic fractions, right? And specifically how to add and subtract algebraic fractions. Normally when students see certain things in mathematics that involves letters, they start to panic, right? Because sometimes you're wondering, how does letter even reach in mathematical problems? So we'll explain all of this in details, right? Something like 2 over x. Come on, what is that? So this is like mixing English and mathematics very explicitly right here. So we'll go through that. But before we move into that advanced concept now, let us do a little recap as to what fractions are, right? And basically, fraction is a part of a whole, right? So it's a section out of a whole, and not the hole like when you dig a hole, you know. Not this one. We're not talking about this one, right? We're talking about this one, whole, right? The entire amount of something. So if you look at these 4 fractions here, right? The entire circle is a whole, right? That's the entire portion, and each circle is also accompanied by a specific fraction. So back where we said a fraction is a part of a whole, let's basically investigate each of these that are here. Alright, so for the entire circle, right, that we have here, you realize that you see just a 1, right? But if you look closer or analyze this more, this can be represented as 1 over 1. So a part of a whole. So 1, so the entire circle here is actually comprised in the whole circle, right? So the entire circle is in the whole circle, which should be 1 over 1, which would be the same thing as the 1 that you originally saw in blue, right? So I just gave you that as a fraction. Let me rub this off. Okay, so moving on to the second one that says 1 over 2, right? So in this case, we have two areas here, 1, 2, right? So the entire circle is comprised of two areas. Let us look at the shaded part, or let's look at the white. Let's look at the shaded part, this green part right here. This is the section we're looking at. Or I should have changed this. Alright, use a different color. So we have 2 sections in this circle. Go for the black. Right, we have this section and we have this section right here, which is actually 2 sections. And if you notice, if we should look at the shaded part, half of this is shaded, right? So 1 out of the 2 is actually shaded, right? So this would represent 1 over 2, right? The whole, as in the entire sections, is actually 2 sections, but we have 1 out of 2 shaded. So this part is shaded, so we have that as 1 over 2. And if you should look at this now, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 parts are actually in this circle, but we have 1 shaded, which is this part. So as a fraction, that would be 1 over 4. 4 representing the 4 sections and 1 representing the 1 shaded area. So this is a part of the entire whole, right? And if we should look at this, we also have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 areas. Again, 4 is the whole, and we have 3 areas shaded. 1, 2, 3. So we put 3 over 4, right? Or 3 out of 4 areas shaded in this case. So that's basically where the concept of fraction came from. And let's look at these color circles down here. So we have yellow, red, and blue. Let me have Y for yellow, R for red, and B for blue. And if we should explode these, and I should ask, represent each color as a fraction of the whole, right? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 9 circles here that are shaded. So if we're in the yellow column now, right, we would actually count the entire amount. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is 8. Right? 9. So 9 would be the entire portion, similarly to the 4 up here. How many circles are shaded yellow? This and this. That's 2 circles. So we have 2 over the total amount of circles, which we said was 9. 2 over 9. Right? How about red? 1, 2, 3. 3 red. So 3. Remember, total amount 3 over 9. How about blue? 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, the total was 9. So when it comes down to blue, we have 4 over 9. And as I said, all of that is the whole. And if we should add 2 plus 3, we would get 5. And 5 plus 4 would give us 9 as the numerator. So we would end up with 9 over 9, which would give us 1, which would form the entire whole. Right? So 1, similarly to this one up here. Right, so we'll move on further to exploring some other concepts of fractions. Hope you're getting the basics of what I just explained here. And right, normally students will be asked to add or subtract fractions or algebraic fractions. But before we move into the algebra, let's look at some basic fractions here and see how we can add and subtract these. So we have 1 over 4 plus, we have 1 over 2 plus 1 over 4, or in other words, a half plus a quarter. So let's say, what is the sum? And for me, see the word sum. Alright, let me adjust something here. Alright, sum. Alright, let me add, let's work on addition for now. Sum, right? And what you should pay close attention to are the denominators, are the numbers at the bottom of each fraction. So in this case, we have 2 and 4. How we go about doing this is that we would find the LCM of 2 and 4, right? The lowest common multiple, as in the lowest number that 2 and 4 can divide into without leaving a remainder. Right, so we put our line like that, and that lowest number would be 4. Right? So we would say 2 into 4 goes 2 times, and you multiply it by this one at the top, times 1. Then you put back your plus sign, that comes from here. 4 into 4 goes 1 time, multiply that by the 1 at the top, times 1. This would be equal to 2 times 1, 2, put back your plus sign, plus 1 times 1, 1, over 4, it should be equal to 2 plus 1, 3, over 4. So that's how we go about taking care of this one. And for number 2, we still need to find the LCM, lowest common multiple. So that's the lowest number that 12 and 6 can go into without leaving a remainder. Right? So they can divide into that number exact without leaving a remainder. And it has to be the lowest number. Right? In this case, you would use 12. So it cannot be less than 12 because 12 should always be able to divide into that number. So we say 6 into 12 goes 2 times 5. Have that there. Have our plus sign. Then we have 12 into 12, 1. 1 times the 7 at the top. Right, that's what we have for that. And then we go a little bit further now by saying 2 times 5, 10, plus 1 times 7, or 7 times 1, 7, over 12. Right? And then we would move further by saying 10 plus 7, 17, over 12. And this is what you would call an improper fraction when you have the larger number at the top, but I'll do a future video to explain that. Right? So we leave it at this for now, but I'm gonna do a future video to help you understand what are improper fractions and how we can change it to a different form of fraction. Alright, so these are numeric fractions, numbers, strictly numbers. But whenever we look at algebraic fractions now, algebraic fractions are simple fractions with algebraic expressions on the top and or bottom. So both top and bottom can have the algebraic expressions, or only the top or only the bottom. So some common forms of algebraic fractions are things like these: x over 2, 3 over y, 1 over w, x plus 6 over 4, 5 over 2 minus h. And if you notice, we have letters in these fractions, right? We have letters in these. But if you can learn the basics from the numeric fractions in terms of adding, then you won't have much difficulty to carry out these. So these are some common forms, right? And for this lesson, we just work with fractions that are in this form. We won't touch these for this video, right? With the double up denominator or numerator. Alright, so those are some common forms. Again, if you're new to the channel, please leave your subscription so that I can know that you're enjoying the videos, and also leave your comments and your questions. So if we're saying, this is saying we should add the following algebraic fractions. Right? So, similarly to the numeric fractions, in this case we have numbers as our denominators. Right? But if you notice, we have an x in this. But don't in this case, don't get nervous or anything like that, because we're gonna treat this similarly to how we would treat the numeric fractions, right? So in this case, you would still find the lowest common multiple, which is in this case, which would be 6, right? Because 6 is the lowest number that 3 and 6 can go into without leaving a remainder. We say 3 into 6 goes 2 times, and we multiply that 2 by the x on the top, times x, plus 6 into 6 1 time, multiplied by this 2 at the top here. So this would be equal to 2 times x, 2x, plus 1 times 2, 2 over 6. And this would be your answer.